he is, God, he has got so much damn potential.
He definitely does. But he comes back from every fight that he's had better, you know? I mean, when one of the most impressive ones was he knocked out Klitschko. Oh my God.
Klitschko's seen better days, though.
Another inconsistency in Anthony Joshua. I now understand, I believe having watched this, where Jake Paul is getting his confidence from. How he's built this narrative in his head that he genuinely has a chance. I think the thing to remember here, though, is that Anthony Joshua doesn't struggle against all smaller fighters.
This might be his last fight. Getting in there with Anthony Joshua and getting knocked out.
Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson break down the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua showdown, stressing the massive gap in skill and danger. Tyson warns that Joshua must control his power because Jake simply isn't on his level. Rogan labels Joshua one of the scariest forces in boxing and questions the risk Paul is taking, given his limited experience against aging or retired opponents.
It's one of the craziest propositions of all time. You take a guy who just had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists in the heavyweight division. Maybe we should watch the Francis Ngannou fight so you could see. Let's watch that real quick, just so you can see what Anthony Joshua is capable if he's fighting someone that's not in his league. Okay, look, Usyk beat him, and he beat him twice, and Andy Ruiz caught him in the first fight and dropped him and stopped him. It was spectacular. Andy Ruiz is super fucking talented. Usyk is perhaps the greatest.
The Wade Concept host breaks down the realities of Jake Paul stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua, emphasizing that the most dangerous scenario for Paul isn't a single knockout punch. It's sustained punishment over multiple rounds. He explains that taking repeated heavy blows for 8 rounds could lead to long-term physical damage that extends well beyond the night to fight. In comparison, a one-punch knockout, while dramatic and potentially embarrassing, actually presents far less cumulative risk. It provides a clear and immediate end to the contest, limiting the repetitive trauma that often causes lasting harm in combat sports. Not a major technical point discussed is the glove size. For this matchup, Joshua is required to use smaller 10-ounce gloves, a notable shift designed to enhance the spectacle and make the fight more appealing to fans and media. While the reduction in padding adds excitement and increases the likelihood of clean connections, it does little to reduce the inherent danger Jake faces. The host stresses that Joshua's power is already well proven, and with less padding, every punch carries even more knockout potential. Ultimately, he concludes that the glove adjustment doesn't change the essential reality of the matchup. The gap in strength, skill, and elite-level experience remains enormous, ensuring that every exchange in the ring poses a serious risk for Jake Paul, despite the more entertainment-focused structure of the...
There really is only one outcome that can hurt Jake in this scenario, and that's that he gets viciously knocked out. Or he gets beat up really bad for 8 rounds and then viciously knocked out. I saw Nikisa talking on Ariel Helwani's show today about this, about like how it's not necessarily something they're worried about that Jake gets knocked out, because he's not afraid of the one-punch knockout as much as he's afraid of like Jake getting beat up for 8 rounds badly and it, you know, causing some real cognitive damage. And there is science behind the fact that the more repeated head trauma is the more dangerous thing about pro boxing, because those gloves, you can get hit, you get 8 to 10 seconds to stand, and you can repeat it 2-3 times in the same fight, just absorbing punch after punch. So in the totality of Jake getting like knocked out cold, is that the worst thing possible for his health? I mean, who knows, dude? You could have a freaking brain aneurysm when you get hit off one shot from a guy like AJ. Again, knock on wood, you don't want to see any of that happen. If his career ends because AJ hurts him badly, then yes. But if it's a knockout where Jake is able to then continue fighting, people will still watch. It may not be as big as the AJ fight, but he still has an opportunity to make money in boxing. Again, the only way it wouldn't be the case is if Jake got like permanently injured from this fight, which is part of the reason that they take this fight, is because Jake doesn't really have anything to lose here, outside of, again, the bodily harm. You know, you fight a guy like Tommy Fury again, which I want to see, I think is more competitive, but doesn't bring the eyes that AJ does. So again, this is the entertainment business, and these Netflix fights are made for a massive audience. But you lose to Tommy Fury again, even by decision, that deflates Jake more than a knockout from Anthony Joshua. A loss to KSI deflates Jake more than a loss to Anthony Joshua. This is a perfect, even if Jake would have gotten just schooled by Gervonta Davis, it would have deflated him more than a knockout, I think. But yeah, it's a lot of risk, a lot of reward, but as far as your marketability, as long as you don't get
Now, Kissa by Darren explains that choosing Anthony Joshua as Jake Paul's opponent was a strategic decision driven by Netflix's need for maximum visual and narrative impact. Since the entire build-up is being filmed, the matchup had to deliver star power, media value, and audience excitement. Joshua fit every requirement. As a globally recognized former world champion, his presence instantly elevates the stakes and makes the event highly marketable. His involvement creates a storyline with real weight, ensuring the documentary captures a high-drama clash that appeals to viewers, promoters, and streaming audiences alike.
And, Jake Paul being Jake Paul, he wanted to focus on the biggest, baddest names possible. That included Terrence Crawford. That included Ryan Garcia. That included Tommy Fury. That included Anthony Joshua. And we probably had, 30 or 40 names that we kind of reviewed. And I will say at least 12 or 13 names that agreed to do the fight. Some within the 2-week period, actually. But from a Netflix perspective, they were very keen on Joshua. They were interested on Crawford. They were interested in Ryan Garcia as potential opponents for Jake Paul. They were interested in Tommy Fury at some level as well. And the one that Jake gravitated towards was Anthony Joshua. Once it became clear Ryan couldn't do the fight as well, Ryan was also something that he was interested in doing. And the deal came together mostly because Jake mentioned this as of March of this year, right? That's the first time he was on a podcast and said, I think I can beat Anthony Joshua. Everyone laughed. At the time, Eddie Hearn said this is another, media attention-seeking moment for Jake Paul. I made it clear then to Eddie and to the media, Jake was serious and we wanted to do it in 2026. We had further conversations with Matchroom in July of this year with the understanding that if Jake got through Tank Davis, and even though that was an exhibition, it was very much structured to be a real fight in every way, shape, and form, then we would look to make Jake versus Joshua in 2026. So that gave us a head start in terms of trying to come to an agreement with Matchroom and AJ, and we were able to get it done.
I just want to ask about a couple of those names that you mentioned. Garcia's interesting because a day or so later, Oscar De La Hoya said he's a DAZN fighter, this ain't happening, and of course we know there's no bigger DAZN name.
Ryan Garcia explains that a loss to Anthony Joshua could have profound, life-changing impact on Jake Paul. He stresses that Joshua's power is nothing to overlook, and a defeat could affect Paul physically, mentally, and professionally, beyond the immediate danger of Joshua's punches. Garcia notes that the long-term damage to Paul's reputation and career trajectory could be significant. This matchup represents one of the toughest challenges Paul has ever faced. Garcia emphasizes that only disciplined training, sharp preparation, and full awareness of the risks will give Paul any chance to handle the danger Joshua brings into the ring.
I think that this has been a misstep from Jake. I think he wanted to make his partners at Netflix a little too happy, and he's gonna walk into it. But look he loses to AJ. Where does he go from here? Who does he fight? You're gonna go back down to 135?
The problem is not that he loses to AJ. The problem is the way he gonna lose to AJ might be life changing.
Right.
So that's the real issue.
It can be life changing in many ways, right? Physically.
Yeah.
See what he did in Nagano? It's like. But then again, if he gets knocked out, he gets knocked out.
Frank Martin points out that although the fight offers Jake Paul massive financial rewards, it remains an extremely tough and dangerous challenge. He emphasizes that money does nothing to reduce the physical risks involved, and Paul should have fully considered those consequences before agreeing to the matchup. Martin makes it clear this isn't just a payday. There are real stakes attached. Paul is stepping in against a seasoned, powerful opponent whose experience at the highest level of boxing far outweighs any promotional hype or celebrity momentum. The financial incentive is huge, but the physical and reputational risks are equally serious.
Consider Jake now, I wouldn't consider him like a YouTube fighter no more. I feel like he put in the time. He gotten better throughout all his fights. He done got better throughout all those fights, But it's still when you fighting fighters who actually done it for their whole life, it's a little different. If that fight happened, it'll be a good money fight. It'll be a good money fight. But that's a tough task for, you know what I'm saying, Jake going to get that big ass heavyweight, AJ. You know, I know AJ personally, you know, so that's tough.
Johnny Nelson warns that this fight could mark the end of Jake Paul's active boxing career if he suffers a knockout. Paul has become a major revenue source for elite fighters like Joshua, often providing large financial incentives to secure these matchups. Nelson also acknowledges the conspiracy theories circulating, suggesting Paul may struggle to land similar high-profile bouts after this event due to the potential physical toll and shifting public perception. He emphasizes that this fight is a pivotal moment for Paul, both a lucrative opportunity and a dangerous risk that could fundamentally reshape his future in the sport.
AJ, I'm stuck in between because nobody on this green earth would actually turn down 50-60 million to fight Jake Paul. And people that don't like this will probably watch it because they want to see Jake Paul getting knocked out. So what's it say about AJ and what's it say about Jake Paul? I think I was thinking upside down. For AJ, I thought, Mama's cashing out. He's cashing out because he's going down this minute line. But I thought, in reality, is he? Realistically, he's thinking, you know what? This big mouth YouTuber stroke boxer has to cheat to call me out. I'd be pissed off at that, if I'm honest with you. I'd be upset if I was AJ, thinking, that's disrespect, man. You think you can deal with me? But he didn't. AJ was jovial and he commended Jake Paul's business acumen, saying, we've sat down, the deal's been done. But still, it just leaves an odd taste in your mouth. So as long as AJ gets the job done, and I mean gets the job done, shows his world-class pedigree, and wipes this boy out, then everybody's happy. But how does it enhance his career? The only way it enhances his career is financially. That's it. No other way. There's no props from beating Jake Paul, apart from saying, thank God you shut him up. For Jake Paul now, I got to give this boy props because he now has our attention and the whole world is talking about Jake Paul. I want to say a big thanks to our sponsors, Bet Goodwin, for supporting that boxing show. Now, if you're interested in having a little flutter, or as I call it after my dad, Benji's Bets, Bet Goodwin's the place to be. Check out Bet Goodwin using the QR code on the screen. I'm probably alright, I'm probably 90% thinking the fight's going to happen. But I'm struggling. I'm thinking, this boy can't be so stupid. But then you hear a whisper. You hear a whisper that Jake Paul himself might be cashing out. Because the big purses that he's pulling, fighting these has-beens or ex-fighters, they're dropping slowly but surely. So maybe, just maybe, this might be his last fight. Getting in there with Anthony Joshua and getting knocked out. But there's always that conspiracy theory. Are there some contract agreements that can and cannot be done, which will never see the light of day that we don't know about? Well, if you're an ex-fighter and if you like the fight game, you'll see fake. You'll know fake when you see it. So if there's any of that fakery going on with this, pulling a shot, taking it easy, giving man a bit of a breather, especially coming from AJ, I'd be disappointed because AJ's brand alone.
Anthony Joshua has openly addressed Francis Ngannou's decision to turn down a fight with Jake Paul, calling a poor choice. Joshua emphasized that boxers rarely receive offers with such strong financial upside, and passing on them can be counterproductive. Chael Sonnen echoed this view, arguing that Ngannou should have accepted the matchup because the risks were minimal compared to the exposure and payday it offered. Joshua's comments highlight the strategic side of matchmaking and the importance of recognizing rare, career-boosting opportunities in the business of professional boxing.